several on the sides, and I wonder if that's my tire irons. All right, so today we are going to convert this mountain bike to tubeless because I just pulled out like 100 goat heads out of this. You can still see some of the goat heads stems. They're just everywhere here. So I pulled out all the big ones, but both of my tires are flat. So I pulled off that. It was a 6mm hex, and I already have rims and tires that are tubeless ready on this bike. So if I was doing this on just any mountain bike, I would need some rim tape to put on the rim, but I won't need any of that. So the only thing I need to buy, which I already have, is I need a new valve. You can see this valve is a tubed one. There's no nothing to block the air right there. And I've got over here on the table some tubeless ones. And I've got a little syringe to put the stuff in, and I've got the stuff. So first step is going to be pop that tube out of there. And I've got these motorcycle tire irons, which I'm going to try and use on this. So let's see how this goes. All right, that was quite a bit trickier than a motorcycle tire. I think these tire irons are just a little bit too big, but I was able to work under that edge, and now that I've got one side of this up, the whole thing will just come up. And we'll get this guy out. In this case, I'm not actually changing the tire, so I don't need to take off the other side of the bead. But if I was going to do that, I would just take my tire iron, I'd lift this all the way up to the other side, which is hard to do in film, and I would reach down through here and pop that other side up. But don't have to do that today, so I'm just going to get this tube out. Then I'll change the valve, and then we'll do the same thing on the front tire. Okay, here's the new valve core. You can see at the bottom there's a little rubber gasket here and a rubber gasket up on the top side. So I'm going to unscrew this all the way off. I'll insert the valve core. I'll put this back down. And then the cap on these is also a tool. If I was to stick this in here, I can remove the entire, sorry, I'm saying this is the whole new stem. I can remove just the core, and I will use my syringe to go down through that cavity and fill this with the tire goo. So I am going to take the top piece off for now. I'll unscrew this and put that in the tire. To kind of show this from a different angle, I mentioned before that my rims were already ready to become tubeless. You can see this big green strip where the spokes would come through. That's all been sealed. This tire, you can't tell, but this is a really stiff, probably piece of steel in here. And then these rims have a cavity for this bead to sit down in there. So the only thing I need to make sure on this stem, there's different kinds of rim tape, different widths or whatever, but this has to make an airtight seal. So depending on your rim, this might need to be, twisted a certain way or something to fit exactly where it needs to fit. On mine, I've got plenty of room. These are pretty big tires, pretty wide. And like I said, I've already removed the core, so I am going to snug this up. Next part, we need to set this bead, and I don't know if I can film this and do it correctly, but we need a quick blast of air and I'm not sure I can get a quick enough blast with this. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to just do it. But basically we want to dump a whole bunch of air just to push the bead out. This is probably gonna be a lot higher pressure than I would even fill this tire with, but we need the force from the inside to push that steel edge up against this rim so that it'll make an airtight seal. So I'll have to stop recording and hopefully I can just get it to work. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. And it popped and it made a nice mist of dust here. But if you listen, I don't know where it is, but there's a hole from a goat head here somewhere. So it's holding air, but it won't hold for long. So next thing, now that the bead is set, you can see this is all tight again. I'm gonna let all this air out and I'm gonna put some goo in it. Should be, I think the bottle says 4 ounces. Let's check. So this is a 29-inch tire, so we are 3 to 4 ounces here in the middle. So I will load up. This is orange seal. So I'm going to load this up. I think my syringe only holds 2 ounces, and then I will shoot this in. Not sure how well I can do this with one hand, but the tube is in there. And I am going to pull out this. Only holds 2 ounces, so I'll have to do this twice, but I can see my nozzle kind of climbing there, so I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to pull this full. Well, maybe I can get it. One-handed. Nice. Okay, so there's my 2 ounces. All right. So I've got the valve core removed. Now I'm going to drop that all the way in. And I'm going to load this up. Now, if you've seen this done other ways, this is just a lot cleaner. You don't need the syringe. You could try and pour it into the tire before you set the bead, but this is just a million times easier. The bead's already set. When I'm done with this, I can just fill it with air. So I'll stop now. I'll do this one more time. Okay, I've got the valve core back in. That's all tightened down. This is all filled with goo. I'm going to spin this. Try and let this stuff run all through the tube. Okay. And let's fill it up. So here, you can see it's working, trying to. I thought I could hear another one. Here. So we're going to let this stuff do its magic. But you can see it's already sealing. Okay, we have pretty good success. You can see and we look at the tire. There's a little one. There's so many. Even a couple on the spokes. Well, at least one. I thought I saw another one. but there's no hissing. I'll let this sit for a little bit. In fact, I may throw it back on the bike and start working on the front one while we let this one sit, but yeah, this is great already. All right, got the front wheel now. Set the bead. That one I had to increase the pressure a little bit to get it to set, but I'm ready to load up. This is the first 2 ounces. Okay, and we'll throw in 2 more. So we've got a little bit on the spokes. Here's a few out in the middle. Several on the sides, and I wonder if that's my tire irons. Probably too aggressive. So we'll let this sit for a minute, see if it eventually holds air. And that's pretty much it. This one's holding a pretty good amount of air. Same with this one. This one's a little lower. I'm gonna let it dry for a bit and then maybe try and throw a little bit more air in, but I just went and rode around each, and yeah, it's a pretty slick conversion. I'll do a video on this bike maybe another time, but this is an electric conversion that I did on this. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, enjoy the ride.